Oh, I got an email. You are live on your channel. Cool. What is up, guys? Sorry, I'm like multitasking like a maniac here and trying to get organized before we get in there and get downright dirty with all these dirty tree problems, y'all. So we got to fix them and make sure you got trees that you love and can enjoy instead of having to deal with. I don't know about you, but I've got a lot of problems in my life. Trees, I don't want to be an additional one. So if we can, fortunately, trees are actually genetically programmed for success. And they generally, you don't have problems with them as long as we keep the stressors off of them and give them the resources that they need. So I wanted to go over just kind of a little bit of a different style. And I'm just going to be real with you guys. So we are getting to a point where we're almost caught up on all of your live Q&As and the questions that you had. We're going back today. Check it out. We've got like back to September 17th. Way back in the good old days, 2 weeks ago and 3 weeks ago, whatever it was. And we've got to play a little bit of catch up. But moving forward, we're going to do some cool things, y'all. I'm going to bring on some guest arborists, people that I know and respect and love. And we're going to be talking about some really important, relevant subject matter for you guys. So this will be brand new every day, every Tuesday and Thursday that we go on our live streams. We're going to be talking about relevant tree information that you got to know to be able to be good managers and carers of the trees you love and live under. Hello, interwebs. Where are you? Yeah, it's stupid. It's being stupid right now. By the way, for those of you that don't know, actually, you know what? I need to just do this. I need to take you off of my earbud and put you on my speaker. Exactly. Test check, microphone check.
Later in the week when we're not live is do a mock live where we get connected together on the computer site. So there's a little box with me in there.
Yes.
And we can just talk live that way. I have I bought a Bluetooth headset that can connect to my computer, allowing me to speak on via mic. So we should be good there.
I love it. Yeah, we're working on doing some technology advances. You know, for those of you that don't know, Lucas is my right-hand man here. He's on the phone right now with me. He keeps me organized. For all the cool things you see me do, I'm nothing without Lucas hanging out and being here with us. So, you know, I'll give a big round of applause for Lucas. He's a huge part of this channel and of this Facebook group and this YouTube channel. And I'm just glad to have him by my side because I'm not even gonna lie. Like I'm just an idiot tree guy. He's the brains behind the operation, and also my wife, my beautiful bride Jennifer Latham. Some of y'all have seen her make comments.
The real saint there.
What's that?
I said Jennifer's the real saint there. She goes through a lot.
Yeah, she puts up with my BS.
You know, monitoring the Facebook channel when we I mean, she's our tripod.
He's so right, and credit where credit's due. Jennifer, my wife, you've seen her on the Facebook group. Jennifer Latham, she's chewed some of y'all out. She's also commended some of you where credit's due. But she is she's really the brains behind the operation. Lucas is absolutely right. Idiot BCMA/RCA guy. Yeah, you ain't fooling us, Matt. What's up, Michael? Glad to have you here, buddy. Thanks for being a part of this group, man. By the way, so, you know, we talked about just right at the beginning, we're going to be doing some educational snippets, if you will. I got to come up with a cool, catchy name for it. But essentially, we're going to talk about what's going on with your trees right now. And obviously, we're all in very different parts of the world. So some of that's going to vary a little bit. But the goal is we want to make sure this is a safe place where you guys learn a ton And by the way, Michael and I were talking yesterday. He's not an RCA. He's not a BCMA yet. Now we're trying to push him to get that because he knows as much as I do. Maybe more, maybe less. I don't know, but he's a brilliant arborist. And when I talk to him about things, I know he's the real deal. And so as one of our first guests, Michael Gabriels is going to be one of our first guest arborists to be on the show. I got some other guys I'm talking to as well. But maybe a couple weeks, we're gonna bring Michael on, and we're just gonna talk trees. We're gonna talk about things that are relevant that you need to know. So be sure and subscribe to this channel if you're on YouTube. Join the Facebook group if you're here on the FaceWebs. And hey, there I am in the corner there. That's funny. I can kind of see me even over Michael's talk. The goal is help you be better managers of your trees. If you own a house, you have to know how to maintain that house. If you own a car, you have to know how to maintain.
Just to let you know, it looks like it's trying to load. I don't know.
Oh, okay. I'm getting some.
Check the
test check.
quality type. If it's running at full streaming, you might need to lower it to 720.
All right, y'all. Give me 1 second. I'm saying Lucas is saying I got terrible connection here, which is not surprising. Michael and I, by the way, Michael's a brilliant tech guy too, so he's gonna help me kind of not look as stupid. Help things to go a little bit smoother here. Let's see. Display information messages on stage. Yeah, thanks, Michael. Okay, I'm just gonna have to play it out as it is. If we lose connection, I'm just gonna keep talking like we used to. Last Tuesday actually was the last time we had some tech issues. We just kept talking. Y'all, instead of watching me, you were watching the picture here we've got on, or other way over there. Look at that beautiful tree over there. Yeah. So yeah, if we lose connection, it's whatever. We're gonna figure this out. I've got to spend probably another week or so really getting this tweaked down to a fine science. Michael and Lucas, by the way, are helping me to do so. So thank you guys so much. And again, Michael, he's a great arborist. He's going to be joining me. Like I said, we've got probably for the next couple of weeks, 3 weeks or so. We actually came up with a list. He and I were on the phone for probably way too long yesterday, and just a phenomenal arborist. And I'm excited for you guys to meet him in person and really glean some wisdom from him, because he looks at things from a totally different perspective. Most of my experience and career has been in the private sector, and he has a lot more experience in the public sector. So dealing with contractors and builders and developers and things like that, and municipalities. And so we're going to be talking about some good, important information that you need to know regarding your trees. And so stay tuned. Again, Tuesdays and Thursdays, generally around 3 to 6 o'clock in the afternoon is when we're doing these live streams. And we're just so glad to have you as a member of this group and for being a part of this conversation we have about the trees you love and live around. So with that being said, let's get right into it, you guys. And we're starting off with anonymous participant back on the 17th of September. I'm so sorry it's taken so long to get caught up, but we're going to go through these and we're going to really figure out exactly what your trees need so you can love and enjoy them instead of having to deal with them. So anonymous saying, we have 6 of these trees along our property line the past few weeks. 3 of them are turning brown from the center out. Terrified of losing them, I throw squishy bananas near the skirt every few weeks or so. I love that. Squishy bananas is like, y'all, compost is one of the best things you could do with your trees. If you think of a forest, we call it nutrient cycling. So let's do a little diagram here. So back to the drawing board, y'all. So you got a tree. Let's say this is a forest and canopy, whatever. So as the tree matures, it's going to drop sticks and twigs and debris and stuff like that. We call this the nutrient cycling process, or nutrient cycling. What happens, that debris gets broken down by the microbes in the soil. And then that returns to the tree as nutrients, carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen, things like that your trees need. And essentially, it's a whole big ecosystem that happens. Tree debris falls during the fall, wintertime, and springtime. The bugs and the critters and all the good guys just eat it, basically. They consume it. And then they break that down into their basic elements. So this is a very, very, very important part of the whole process, how every forest on this planet works. And so it's really important. So going back to Anonymous's post here, she's talking about, well, she throws squishy bananas. So essentially what you're doing there, Anonymous, is you're artificially recreating that nutrient cycling process by throwing those bananas. I am a huge fan of composting. So if you got a little corner in the backyard that you don't use and that's kind of away from all the windows and the doors because it might smell, feel free to start like a little composting pile. There's plenty of information out there about how to do that properly and make sure that you get a really, really good end product. But composting, that's how God designed it, y'all. We can artificially recreate that and just basically create free fertilizer for our trees. I love it, Anonymous. Well done, Carrie. That's brilliant. I love it. Last fertilized in this late spring with a Miracle Grow made for evergreens. Responded really well, and they didn't need unalive needles they didn't have unalive needles like this. Construction started on a new outbuilding 5 days ago, and the issue started weeks before. So do not take that into consideration. Any help is appreciated. Great point from Grand Rapids, Minnesota. Is you're absolutely being wise. This is very smart to think of these things in advance, because realistically, as you won't notice the damages from that construction for 3 to 5 years later. That's very normal. Very, very, very normal. So let's go through and take a look at these guys. They look like some kind of spruce. I'm not sure. Don't get me lying about specific epithet. I don't know exactly what kind of tree. What I do know is everything on here looks like you've got a beautiful amount of growth, 6 to 12 inches. That's a very good mark. That's about where you want to be. You don't want to be too much, because whenever you've got too much growth, that means the tree is neglecting other things. So it's putting too many of its resources into growth and neglecting fertilizing, immune functions, strengthening woody tissue, improved rooting functions, things like that. So I love to see like 6 to 12 inches, generally speaking, is a really good mark. You don't want to go above that. You don't want to go less than that. Those can be stressors and indications of bad things. Now, I do see here, Anonymous, that you've got a little bit of unalived tissue right here. Lucas, go ahead and tag. Her name's Carrie. We don't, shh, it's Anonymous. But go ahead and tag her in that if you don't mind. Because I do see some signs of stress. But again, great new growth. Everything looks very normal. Sounds like there's a little construction going on next door. The main thing is watch out for compaction.
So David Tepper also thinks it might be a new disease taking action on it.
What was that? David Tepper. Looks like sudden needle drop. I'll reach out to an arborist near you to discuss options. We have it down here near Minneapolis. And there's a treatment that can stop the progression. I made spray 2 times a year. Let's check it out. What are we talking about here? I don't know about sudden needle drop, actually. Sudden needle drop is a new one for me. Let's look it up, though, y'all. Let's learn together. Sneed, Illinois Extension. By the way, for those of you that don't know, your local agricultural extension is your go-to resource for all of the things that are happening in your current, like where you live. These are the guys that are going to have the government funding to do research. They're also going to be, I need to put that here.
So according to the old chat, it says that SND is a relatively newly identified tree disease that primarily affects spruce trees, especially Norway spruce. It's very similar to the fungus Melanoma homely.
I see that as Colorado spruce. I don't see it as Norway. Ooh, that's ugly. Okay. Yeah, so it looks like you're seeing like some needles gone here and here. I wonder what causes it. Let me see. These symptoms of SNEED are yellowing and eventual browning of older needles. Affected branches may be scattered throughout the canopy. Frequently by autumn, which is about where we're at. Good point. All the needles on the affected branches fall off except the newest needles on the tips of the branch. Eventually, the canopy of the tree thins, sometimes leaving bare branches. That's not good. Sudden needle drop, SNEED, sometimes called spruce needle drop, has been found in Norway white and Colorado spruce, blue spruce trees. Fungus. Here we go. This is what we need to know, y'all. The fungus has been found associated with the symptoms of sudden needle drop, but it has not been proven that this fungus is the cause of SNEED. So it's associated, but it's not necessarily the cause. So association is not the same as causation.
So with something like this, being that it could be a fungus-related pathogen, would be like maybe like liquid AF from Microlife to help out.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah. Is what I think is probably going to be beneficial to you, Anonymous. I don't know. And this is not a diagnosis. This is not a prescription. But here's what I do know is these things that I'm about to recommend to you are only going to help improve the overall health of the tree, which I don't know about you, but I was born with an immune system. Well, turns out so was your tree. And so the tree has the ability to fight off diseases and pathogens. However, if you don't get help from here, please get help somewhere. That's the main thing that I want to make a point of. Is that doesn't necessarily mean that this is the cause, that the fungus is the cause, but just doing a little research, it sounds like there may be this cetomelanoma holmi might be associated with these problems that you're experiencing. So needle cast fungus. Yeah, and that's a good point. Spruce does have an issue with needle cast / rust. I don't see this as that, Dan, but I do see some sort of fungal issue going on here. Generally, when you lose the interior needles, it's not going to be a huge detriment to the tree. So I'm not really offended that you're losing some of the interior. What I am offended by is that you're losing some of the exterior. And I do notice like this one, that's not good. So we want to make sure that we're diagnosing these things. So I'll give you a couple of these different links. U.S. agriculture extensions by state. We talked about the specific epithet, but here's the thing: is without lab confirmation, we don't know. So you need to send a tissue sample, preferably of needles that have just unalived, like the past week or two. Send those off. If you can put them on ice, that's even better. And send them off to your local agriculture extension. I gave you a link there. Did it go? Yeah. Okay, I went. I gave you a link there. That's basically just a list of agriculture extensions throughout the United States. I don't know where you're from, Anonymous. I don't care. That's not my role. But what I would do is find your local one, send the sample off to them, have them help guide you in the right directions, because all of those are PhDs and plant pathologists and botanists and entomologists and things like that are going to be very, very familiar with what's going on locally with your trees. So reach out to them. And of course, as always, I'm happy to get on a digital arborist consultation with you, and we can look at this a little bit closer and figure out exactly what's going on and what we need to do moving forward. So yeah, those Humids Plus, though, that'll help to create a healthy bioculture in the soil. And let me give you one more of them. 1 second here. Miss Anonymous, Mrs. Liquid AF. This is a really cool product. It's actually a biological based not fungicide. I got to be careful with my words here. Antifungal. It is essentially a bunch of really beneficial bacteria that'll help to create a good bioculture in the soil. And you can even spray that on the trees. The main thing is you got to mix it with 1-to-1 ratio of molasses. And not just any molasses. Don't just go on Amazon or Home Depot or whatever and look up and get like the cheapest of the cheap. You want a good quality blackstrap molasses or a good quality cooking molasses. And you can even use those as keywords to look it up. So hope that helps. And we are moving on. We're working down, aren't we, Lucas?
Yeah.
Awesome. So way back in the good old days, about 30 seconds prior to Miss Anonymous posting about her 6 trees along the property line, another Anonymous was talking about his pomegranate here. And I love this. I actually remember this very well because Michael has some great tree jokes. Y'all don't understand that, but I do. Genotype is in reference to the genetics of the tree. Phenotype is in reference to the form of the tree, the phenology. And so what happened is the genotype is a tree. That is a pomegranate tree, Anonymous. So you're looking at a tree that looks like a bush is essentially what that means. And it's a funny joke for those of us here in the industry. I don't know if you got as much humor out of it as I did, but I saw that and I was like, Michael's got jokes for days. So anyways, appreciate that, Michael. That you gave me a good laugh there, but definitely a pomegranate tree that is just happens to look like a bush, and that's okay because the fruit's easier to get to when it's a bush form and not a tree form. But that's really, really typical, those pomegranates here in South Texas. And where you at? Maybe North Texas as well.
Saw somebody did post pomegranate. Oh, Michael did.
Shh.
Put a picture of it on there.
Yeah. We're trying to keep the I love that tomato tree. Tomato. We had a good conversation here, y'all. Asking you something in the Myrtle family is a tree trying to cause a war over here. Yeah, right. What about elderberry? Oh my goodness. Source of image, Google. Asking if something is in the Myrtle family is a tree. Yeah, I got a myrtle plant out here too. Check it out, y'all. So this is they call it a Gulf myrtle. I don't know if you can see that there, but it's like a tiny little shrub. It's like a wee little baby plant. That's a myrtle. Technically, that is a myrtle. So sorry, I'm like giving y'all all vertigo here, but here we go. We're good to go. Right on. So yes, genotype versus phenotype. Phenotype is the form. Genotype is the genetic. What is it essentially? And so, yeah, the answer is yes. Is it a tree or bush? The answer is yes. You've got a pomegranate tree that looks like a bush. So moving on. Can anyone identify what is causing this on my maple tree? No, unfortunately, you need genetic and lab confirmation before we can actually identify anything really. Now, let me backtrack a little bit. There are certain pathogens that we can very easily identify. One of those is like Ganoderma lucidum, which is that's that red Ganoderma that you see. Ganoderma, by the way, is in the reishi family. So, goodness, I'm sorry, y'all. That's gross. Ganoderma is typical in Eastern medicine. You see it a lot for stomach ailments, for general overall health. Let's look it up here. So when you type in Ganoderma, the first thing that comes up is typically not tree diseases. 80 species, many from tropical regions. The typical thing that you get is that it is in the Eastern medicine. No, I'm taking that back, actually. Ganoderma lucidum, reishi, Lingzi or reishi. You can see here, guys, this is what it looks like. You'll see it all over the continental United States. It's actually not, all the textbooks say it's kind of a unalive blow, if you will. Like you've got Ganoderma, your tree's screwed. You got to get rid of it. That's not the case. I'm sorry. I respectfully disagree. I've seen reishi or Ganoderma infested trees that have lasted for centuries, or not centuries, but decades, literally. And so one of them I had for like 22 years that I took care of. An awesome tree. It had Ganoderma every single year, but as long as we were outgrowing the fungal pathogen, we were good to go. Ganoderma is a really, really typical one. So let's go back to this. So with the exception of Ganoderma and armillaria and certain ones that are just really, really super simple to identify, it is always, 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 always always best to get lab confirmation. And again, I'm going to go ahead and post this a second time, is just check with your local agriculture extension, because these guys really are out in the field every single stinking day. They're tromping through the forest and talking to people who have tree diseases, and they can help guide you in the right direction. So you can almost always contact your local agriculture extension, send them off a sample of whatever it is that you're looking at, and say, help, what is this? And they're almost always, in my experience, happy to help. Even for those professionals, they will sit there and spend hours on the phone just talking shop with us because they love teaching this stuff. So Mike's asking, what is the causing this on my maple tree? I'm going to agree with the guy. It doesn't really matter. Quite frankly, rake up the leaves. That's going to isolate most of those pathogens. It looks like almost like a black spot type fungal pathogen. What you definitely want to do is make sure your soil dries out prior to re-irrigating. That's going to be super, super important, and it will help prevent fungal pathogens from accumulating inside of the tree and manifesting on the leaves. So rake up what you got, get rid of those leaves during the winter. I know that is like exact opposite on what I'm going to typically tell you, but when you've got a foliar fungus like that, it's never a bad idea to just go ahead and rake them up, get them out of here, and that way you're starting kind of clean come springtime rather. So let's see, screwdriver. This is what we're looking for, y'all. You want to make absolutely certain when you go to start watering is that you are not watering too much. So hope that helps there, Mike. But yeah, reach out if you want to take a closer look at it. And always, it always helps y'all when you're posting questions or pictures or whatever to make sure that you get multiple angles, not just the leaves, because that only tells us one small paragraph of the entire chapter of the entire story. So we need a much better idea overall, holistically, what's going on with the tree. Take some of the root flares, step back, take some of the entire canopy, take some of the individual leaves, and make sure to go kind of full circle because trees are three-dimensional. What's up, Sprouting Arborist? Great to have you here, big guy. Oh, Sprouting Arborist, by the way, is a high school student who is sprouting into an arborist. So we're helping guide him along. And yeah, I love to have you here, dude. You're awesome, man. I love to see the next generation of arborists come up. You are getting involved in like the most important time, I think, in arboriculture that there has been. We had some really great forefounders that really started to form the industry. And I was at actually, Michael was there at this conference with me. He heard it direct from Mr. Jeffrey Ling himself. And Mr. Jeffrey Ling said, you guys are in such a crucial stage in arboriculture. You are where arboriculture is where modern medicine was in the 50s and 60s. And I don't know if y'all remember reading your history books here, but in the 50s and 60s really defined what modern medicine was going to be. So it's a really, really exciting time to be an arborist. Sprout, keep it up, man. And let me know how I can help you in developing your career. Obviously, keep running, keep finishing school, do all that good jazz, get that foundation set for yourself. But if you want a career in arboriculture, man, I'm happy to help you however I can. I think it's wonderful what you're doing. And we need more good people, nothing personal, kids like you who are going to grow into the men and women that shape this industry. So well done. Keep it up. Michael's saying, and this is just kind of a follow-up from our previous conversation about the agriculture extensions, the state agency, that's what he's calling it, just helped me dove into a ton of research on black walnut. They love getting cool tasks and actually get back to you with relevant information. Michael, that is exactly my experience. Is every one of those guys are a bunch of idiot, as I'd say. They're not. They're PhDs. They're brilliant people. They're a bunch of tree nerds, and they love studying these things. They love figuring these things out and solving problems, because ultimately it helps grow everybody. This is not just our homes and our backyards and our trees in the front yard. This is a neighborhood issue. This is a community issue. And I'll give you an example. Is Houston is a problem. Houston has a big problem. When I think of Houston politics, I think of Gotham. If you remember the Batman series, is there's so much corruption. You've got these guys that kind of run things, and they have a grasp on the industry. I call it the good old boys club. Some of y'all might call it like the patriarchy or something, where you got these guys at the top and they all scratch each other's backs, and they used to be brilliant in their field. And I'm specifically, by the way, I'm talking about arboriculture. But unfortunately, they got their degrees 30 years ago. Sorry, the industry's changed 3 times over at least in the past 3 decades. So what you knew back then is not how we do things and how we operate nowadays. I was sitting in a meeting with a political group, along with their attorney, their consultants, and all that. We're working on our side. We're working to preserve the trees, and we're all basically pro bono. We're all basically just volunteers. None of us got paid any significant amount of money for this. And we're dealing with this, and it's really important. And I'm sitting across the consulting arborist on the other end of the table, and I said something to the tune of, well, the trees heal and such and so on forth and manner and blah blah blah, yada yada yada. And the guy, by the way, I'm a BCMA RCA at the time. I'm 1 out of 1 in the entire city of Houston. And this urban forester who got his degree 30 years ago tells me, wait a minute, trees don't heal, they seal. I said, dude, that's arboriculture 101. We're over here on 108. How do you preserve trees through construction? And unfortunately, that's just the way it is. But getting back to on topic, what Michael's saying, the guys at the university level, at the state level, are actually, they're very passionate about these things. My experience has been, talk to them, and they love to educate you about the trees that you love and live under. They are in your courtyard. They're on your side, and they, quite frankly, you pay taxes, so they're paid by you to help you and your community out. And trees are a community issue. So, soapbox over, tangent over. I am stepping down. Let's get back into the trees y'all love. All right. So Lauren Tucker. Wow, that's a great name. That's my middle name. That's my grandfather's name. Says, I had a tulip poplar planted this summer. It's about 12 feet tall. Recently noticed these holes are on the base. Haven't seen any sawdust or actual bug activity. Any thoughts? New England, USA. Wow, Lauren, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not seeing. We're going to need some more photos here. I do see some what looks like discoloration underneath the bark. That looks fungal to me more than anything, Lauren, I'm sorry. Anyways.
Also, if that's the tree in the soil, there's no root flares.
Yeah, if that's the base of the tree, there's no root flares. So you're going to have to. What happened? Where'd it go? You're going to have to expose those root flares, Lauren. My cousin was named Lorne, Lorne, and he
even goes through all that trouble. You think she should just get a rubber mallet and do the test the sound to see if maybe it might be just.
I do. Yeah, I absolutely do.
Too corroded inside.
Yeah,
rotten.
And Lucas bringing up a great point. He's been hanging around me too long. I got fired by a guy for hanging around me too long years ago. So I love that. Lauren, I think you've got an issue with some decay here, but the other thing too is you've got to expose those root flares. That's going to be super important. This mistake can DEI. That's how you spell unalive, right? Yeah, before that DEIs your root flares in your tree, you've got to expose those root flares. The other thing too, is I see, and I may be looking at an isolated time period here, but it looks like you've got a ton of water at the base here. That may be too much. I don't know. you're going to have to allow the soil to dry out prior to re-irrigating. So here's another video on, you know, how to water and all that. You want to do it proactively. You don't want to just like set it on automation and hope for the best. That's not a good strategy. I can tell you from personal experience. I've set many of things in my life on automation, and it wound up burning me in the end. So
that's what they did with those moon trees.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So yeah, Lucas brings up a great point. Let's see if we can find moon trees. So I've got a really cool project that it's actually pro bono. I'm not hired for it at all. They have no budget. They have no money, but there's a program called the Moon Tree Program out of NASA. And back in the 70s, there was a guy that he was a botanist and a scientist, and he wanted to see what are the effects of sending trees into space. How does that affect things? But basically, they brought them back and they planted them. And what happened was these trees, they set them up. There's one of these trees. Well, backtrack a little. So 50 years later, almost, there's not a lot of them left. And so what they wanted to do was continue the species. So these moon trees, they started taking cuttings, started taking seeds and things like that, propagating new baby moon trees, essentially. And so one of these wound up on NASA grounds themselves here at Johnson Space Center, where I'm at, right down the street from me. And they basically, they were unaliving it very rapidly. What happened was they put the tree on automation. They put it on where it was getting watered every single day. When I first got there, I stick my finger in the ground and it just smells musty. It smells like pathogens and decaying green matter and things like that. And I told them, is like, just turn the watering system off, like off. And they're like, wait, what? And I'm like, yes, you've got these roots are basically drowning. You've got to let them dry out. You've got to let them grow. And we did that. And that was like all I did. You know, I did a little bit of biostimulant treatment. That helps. But mostly what I did was I told them to turn the water off, water it 2 to 3 times a week. Make sure it's getting sufficient water, but make sure it's not staying saturated 24/7. And the trees are thriving now. They're doing really well. I just went over there the other day, and I love it. I love it. Anyways, let's get back to some of y'all's questions too. So I think you learned how trees seal wounds. I think once you learn how trees seal wounds, it's okay to say heal, because you know how it works. And that's exactly my point. It's like, dude, you're getting into semantics. Like, I get it. You want to sound like you're smart and you know everything, because you're a consultant and you need to, and your attorney relies on you knowing everything. But you just sound like a fool in my world. Like, that's cute. Go ahead and play your semantics. I'm going to actually help do things and make the world a better place. Michael's saying too, going back to our talk on the agriculture extensions, these universities, they almost always have laboratories in soil testing and disease diagnosis. So what's that, Lucas?
Nothing, sorry.
So again, yeah, just reach out to your local agriculture extension. I posted the link here in the YouTube video, and I think it went out to Facebook as well. Yeah, so do that. Get to know your local agriculture extension. They are awesome. All right, so sprouting arborist, same basil crown rot. I've seen it on very young trees. One tree at a park near me had it horrible and tipped over and unalived a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, and that's and honestly, Lauren, that is what you are at risk of. I love your partial last name. Tucker's my middle name, by the way. It was also my grandfather's name. He was a great man, and so well done. Yeah, thanks for being here. You got some issues, and ultimately, if you want help, like a little more close look, I'm happy to guide you along, and we can just really get together and talk shop and figure out exactly what your tree needs to make sure it's healthy and thriving. So hope that helps. We're moving on. Wendy, who is profitable. Thanks. Great last name. Brings a question. We have this gorgeous old oak tree in our yard in St. Augustine, Florida, with a giant golden pothos growing on it. I love the look, but just want to be sure it wouldn't hurt or unalive or strangle the tree or weigh it down and rot and break the branches. We went through this in pretty good detail. What I'll maybe reiterate to you is, let's see if I can find it, is that the vines they're not going to unalive the tree in and of themselves. What they will do is they'll trap moisture against the trunk, And that can be a really, really, really big problem. So you want to at least thin out those, and also possibly consider, Amazon just showed up. Also possibly consider getting rid of some of the weight on that, because it's probably not going to break the tree in and of itself, but you add the decay on there from water getting trapped against the trunk of the tree, along with all that extra weight, and that can be a recipe for disaster. So yeah, I'm going to stick with what I told you before. Here we'll check out the video. Hey, what's up, Wendy? Where's my audio, huh? Right back. Well, she wants to ride the bike. Cool. So yeah, long story short, Wendy, yeah, I'm okay with it. It's not ideal. Get rid of the vines if you can. I get it. You want that beautiful, like weeping kind of forested jungle type look. So if you do insist on keeping them, thin them out a little bit. Get that stuff away from the very, very base there. That's going to be really, really important. And you've got a ton of weight on this branch. Just make sure they're not overtaking the tree. That's really important. So we are moving on. Sprouting, what you talking about, buddy? All right, so he's Sprouting Arborist saying, I've been wondering recently about ash trees infected with EAB. For those of you that don't know, EAB is a lovely little beetle called emerald ash borer, and how they unalive from the top down. Could you possibly prune off the unalive branches as a form of retrenchment and give it some treatments to save it? Weighted question. Let me show you just a picture of, where'd you go? Let me show you a picture of some things, because this is crazy, y'all. This is crazy. That guy owes me money, by the way. Here's the bus. Look out. Got him. Y'all, feeding my family is very important to me, so don't hurt me or I will come after you. Sorry. My niceness, don't ever mistake it for weakness. Yeah, that's not a thing. I'm a tree guy, y'all. I love war. Every day of my life and my career has been war. So if you hurt me and my family financially, when the leaves start to taco, what's the problem? What's up, Jake? Thanks for the question, man. What do you mean by that? Talk to me more, man. Tell me a little bit more about that. So I'm assuming taco means like they're folding inward. Wait. Over here. Folding inward like that. But please, I want to hear it from your perspective. What do you mean by that? Okay, so this is back in my Joycey days. Don't you know? That's actually Midwest, sorry. All right, so here's the problem with the EAB sprout. This is just one example of an EAB infested tree in New Jersey, USA. Here's the problem. The problem is not so much that the outside of the canopy is damaged. The problem is that the vascular tissue of the tree is damaged. So, for example, let me give you kind of a little run through of how EIB works. So you got a tree, you got a big tree, let's say, and it's an ash tree, and you've got EIB. What you're seeing in the canopy out here is only a reflection of what's actually happening in the vascular tissue right here. The problem is not that it's unaliving the branches individually on the ends. The problem is that it's completely cutting off the circulation. So what happens, these emerald ash borer beetles, they lay their larvae, and the larvae do these tunnels in what we call it like a Z or an S-shaped galleries. And so what happens is that cuts off a very large portion of the actual vascular tissue. So you get, basically think of like a tree as a series of pipes. And you've probably looked at a cutting of a tree where you've got a ring here and you've got all these different rings throughout the tree. Very, very normal. That's exactly how trees grow, is they grow in these like little basically rings. And think of it like a pipe. Is there's millions, thousands or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands or even millions of little tiny vessels that grow through there. That is the vascular tissue of the tree, which eventually becomes the woody tissue of the tree. So we call it the xylem, right? You've probably heard that term. Get a little closer here so you can maybe see it a little better. So all of these little vessels run essentially from one root fiber down in the soil to one leaf up in the canopy. And there's, like I said, tens or hundreds of thousands or even millions of these little vessels. And so what they're doing is they're these little cells that, here's a microscopic view of it. They're these little cells called parenchyma cells. And think of them like little pumps, and they form these tubes that essentially transport minerals, nutrients, water, oxygen, et cetera, from the ground up to the leaves. And then once the leaves produce, they start sending sugars back down into the ground to feed the microbes. Because quite frankly, don't bite the hand that feeds you. Nature in God's design knows this very well. So those microbes help the tree get the minerals and the nutrients and the resources and the water that they need out of the soil. In return, the tree itself feeds those nutrients and feeds those biotics and those microbes, etc. Because, hey, why not? It's beneficial to them. It's going to use about 50% of those sugars and the carbohydrates. We call it photosynthate. That's what the leaves produce. And it's going to use 50% of that. 50% of it, it's going to give away like any good little boy should. Anyway, so essentially what happens with EIB is it cuts off that connection between the canopy and the ground by creating all these little channels that cut off the circulation. So long story short, in answer to your question, the problem is once you start seeing the damage, once you start visibly observing those limbs unaliving, it's usually a year or 2 years into all of this happening. So the problem is not so much that you've got unalived branches on the end and that you need to retrench that. The problem is you just took all the arteries, and just went snip, 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 snip all the way around. So realistically, once you start seeing the damage, once you get to about 70% or more, 30% or more damage, generally the tree's just not going to make it. It's not going to be able to recover. Now, I've taken some trees and done some cool things with it. Is it possible? Maybe. I'd like to experiment, quite frankly, just writing Arborist. But thank you so much. That's a wonderful question, because we get into biology, we get into physiology. How does the tree work, and why is emerald ash borer so damaging? It's because the damage is so widespread. Okay, infected with EIB that the whole top is falling apart because it's been unalive for so long, but halfway up the branch is still alive. Yeah, and you'll see that's the tree's response. The tree is trying to make it. Just realistically, we already know chances are it's probably not going to make it. So it stinks. And this is why a global economy is not necessarily the best option, because you take these pathogens that were born and bred and raised over in China, you bring them into the United States, and all of a sudden our trees just simply don't have the ability to fight it. So it's a big problem. And you're absolutely right, man. I love these questions sprouting. So keep that up, man, because this is very important stuff. Same happens with a lot of different pests and pathogens, by the way. So great questions, sprouting. Thanks for being here, bro. All right, let's get back to it. We are answering tree questions. Catherine Androidis. We recently had these palms planted on our property. We requested dwarf, palmetto, sable minor. Specifically stressed we do not want Bismarck or anything that will grow tall. The nursery that supplied these to our landscape company said, and continues to insist that these are sable minor palms. Please let us know your assessment. Not sable. No. Those are Bismarck or some sort of Mediterranean palm. Catherine, you got taken. Sorry. Yeah, Bismarck. I don't know. Palms are not my forte. I'm really glad we have some palm experts in the group. Michael's saying Bismarckia, 100%. Are you an arborist? We're looking for a written confirmation, which included a visit to see the palms. No, but I've been growing palms long enough to difference. Reach out to your county. They should be able to send someone out to ID. Yeah. Bismarck. I think it's right. I think it's a Bismarck palm. I'm not the expert on the matter. Like I said, palms are monocotyledons. I mostly deal in dicotyledons, which is really fun because my son's going through that in his botany class. So it's fun to talk about these things. But yes, Wendy, Catherine, what you're going to want to do is reach out to these guys. That I think you're in Florida, right? Oh, yeah. Don't know. Typical Florida behavior. Sorry.
The next one's going to be a fun one. So you can tear apart.
Y'all Floridians think you're Texan, but you're not. We're different, y'all. You wrestle gators. We're just different. We're not the same. Solid, Catherine. Glad to. And if you need an arborist to write it up, let me know. I'm happy to help. We can always do a digital arborist consultation. I'll roll this into the price because, quite frankly, I'd be happy to put my name behind the fact that that's not a sable palm. I don't know specific epithets. That's not my forte. I quite frankly, I don't even like palms. They're not real trees. Sorry, Florida. But those are not real trees. Live oaks, that's a real tree. You got some of those too, Florida. I don't hate you completely. All right, we're moving on. Ooh, this is fun. Some of y'all have seen this boy, Shane Erdman, posting some photos and videos and fun stuff. And I got to tell you, I have corrected him on multiple occasions. So let's take a look at this here video that Mr. Erdman's been posting. He likes to get out there and get his name recognized and make a name for himself or whatever. So let's go ahead and look at that good protection down there in the base. Big mattress there to dampen the blow.
That little mat there, just hilarious.
Yeah, so in case you were wondering, this is all sorts of wrong. This is a guy that really does not know what he's doing. He says, watch as I take down a tall mulberry tree using a boom lift and pole saw. Don't need that. None of that. Careful planning and steady cuts make for a smooth and safe removal. No shortcuts, just solid technique. This is how you handle tough tree jobs when safety and efficiency matter most. And I got to say, everything about this is wrong. Do not take notes from this man. He's still trying to figure it out. He's been doing this thing where he posts all sorts of fun little videos and pictures and things just like this, not just in my group, not just in Ask an Arborist, but all over the interwebs. And he's in about right now about 11 groups that I've seen. Everybody is tearing him a new one because he does it wrong. This is not ANSI A300. This is not ANSI Z133 Plus. We actually have standards for how to remove a tree, pruning standards, tree risk assessment, so many different standards. all of them he is breaking. Yes, Michael, you're absolutely right. We call this a clout chaser. And man, there's so many tree guys who are just complete narcissists. I love tree guys. I am one. And also, yeah, that's a good point. At least he has a bucket. He could be doing this just straight from the roof. But like, what are you doing, dude? Stop doing that. You look like a fool, because guys like me are going to tear you to pieces. ANSI Z133 Plus says you have to be roped into that bucket. ANSI Z33 133 Plus says you have to rig those limbs using proper rigging gear, none of which you have. Mattresses placed on the roof, by the way, don't freaking count. Like, what are you doing, bro? This is so wrong. Every one of those limbs. First of all, I'm getting to the point now where I'm old and lazy. What I might have done, put a crane on the whole tree and picked it all in one, set it down on the ground, have my guys process it. That's it. Real simple, very safe, zero impact, very important. But if you notice here, homeboy just dropping limbs straight on the roof. Would y'all trust that? Would you be okay with them dropping stuff next to your window like that? That's crazy, y'all. This is a prime example of exactly the wrong way to do it. Shane, Lucas, if you don't mind, please tag him and make sure that you put the timestamp in there, because he needs to. You know, Shane, I love you, bro. I know you're from DFW like me. I want to talk. I want to help you grow in your industry and in your career. I want to teach you the right ways. I will not charge you to do so. I want to make sure I don't have to read about you in the newspaper or in the Drip Line Report, which is another industry publication that goes through all of the accidents and industries and injuries in this industry. Not all of them, obviously, but a good portion of them. Basically, use cases of how nothing but the best for you. Also, stop doing silly things. Sam Hill, that's so funny, dude. Because so like Sam Hill, I watched them. They actually, I'm really proud of Sam Hill. I met Andrew, is their registered consulting arborist, BCMA/RCA, like me. Great dude. So when I met him, he was actually at my table at Consulting Academy. By the way, Michael and I went to Consulting Academy together. He's a great arborist in one of the few. Andrew happened to be a part of that same Consulting Academy, and he was the kind of the head arborist guy, if you will, for Sam Hill. And I used to know them when they did everything wrong back in like 2000. Hello, tree fram.
Sometimes when I see licensed arborist prune a tree, I'm like, I'm not an actual arborist, but yeah, man, but even I could do better.
Yeah, no, I believe you can actually. Sprout.
Check. It's weird. It has your
How about that?
logo up on the top, black screen, and I can see you in the little preview box.
Yeah, right. Michael and I were talking about some of my tech issues, and I got a long way to go. Hello, test check, microphone check. What's up, tree fam? All right, so yeah, good to go. Right on. Thank you, Michael. All right, so yes, Michael, I knew Sam Hill back in 2010, 12, 14, 15, 16, 17 time frame. They did not do things the way they do now, and I am so proud. Because they've really started to act right way, and I just love it. I love to see that, because that's what we need. Look, we're all human. I did things the wrong way before he flew in. Ed Gilman. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, no, he did. He brought Ed Gilman into his company, had him teach his guys. Ed Gilman, by the way, is the guy that wrote, let's see if I got it here with me. He wrote this little book. This is one of my favorite books on this planet. It is an illustrated guide to pruning by Dr. Ed Gilman, 3rd edition. If you're a tree guy and you want to go and take your pruning skills to the best level you can imagine, then this is the book to go to. But on that note, Sam Hill, Dallas, Texas, well done, bro. And if you're watching this, if you see this, talk to me, man. I want to give credit where credit's due. And y'all did it wrong, you know, and I know, because, and I'm only saying that out of experience, because I went back on a job and I realized that I had cabled a tree in maybe 2008, 2007. And instead of drilling through the tree, which is the right way to do it, I actually wrapped the cable around the tree like an idiot. So I too had to learn the wrong way before I knew the right way. And so, Sam Hill, nothing personal, brother. I love what you guys are doing, and I think that's what our industry needs, is a little repentance, a little course correction, and all of us working towards the same goal, which is to provide unbelievably good service to our clients. So, Shane, dude, listen to those who are razzing on you, because they're right. Now, it may hurt. They may sting a little bit, and tree guys can be vicious and brutal. And I understand that, because I've been hazed quite a bit myself. But quite frankly, you're on the right path. I think you should just carry on. Listen to those that are talking to you, though, because there are a bunch of guys I've seen reach out to you personally. Stop doing stupid crap. That's all I have to say. All right. So, Sprouting Arborist. This is great. Since Arborist prune a tree, I'm like, I'm not an actual arborist yet, but man, even I could do better. That's mostly because I learned from great people. You're welcome. Hey, I love it. Thank you, dude. I'll take it as a compliment. All right. He's also saying, I watched an Ed Gilman presentation here on YouTube about pruning, and man, I definitely changed how I thought about pruning. I didn't think the title was so true when I clicked on it. Yes. Yeah. Follow guys like Ed Gilman, Lindsay Purcell. There's so many guys out there just promoting good tree care. If you want to have a real ball sprouting arborist, you're going to have to spend about $2,000 getting all of the material. But look up ASCA recommended, ASCA, that's American Society of Consulting Arborists, recommended literature, recommended books. And if you read that entire book, you will be better than most certified arborists can even dream of being. So do that. And you can find it right there on ASCA's website. They've got a whole list of all the different books that they recommend. And these are all books that are not well published. These guys like probably lost money publishing these books, but they've got some of the best information out there. And I've got a library too. I've got a list of books that I recommend. So if you want, I'm happy to share that with you too. All right, Shane, I'm going to stop razzing on you, bro. But like, please reach out. You're not the king of the world. You don't know everything. And as soon as you recognize that and start course correcting, I think you'll be a fine arborist. So keep that up, bro. All right. Attention, all arborists. I'm doing a project on arborist gear, and I'd love feedback about frustrations or discomforts you have with the gear that you use, whether it be clothing, hardware, ropes, harnesses, etc. Give me all your rants. Any ideas for improvement are more than welcome. I'm going to bypass that because I don't even know who you are, man. You can't post anonymously and expect me to get back to you on stuff like that. Oh, by the way, sprouting, check this out. So I just did a recent video on actually some of Ed Gilman's material. Check this out. You're going to love this. So, and this is 13 years ago, bro. 13 years ago. You were probably, just getting out of diaper. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. I'll stop there. Let's see. Where is it? This one. Get shareable link. So, Ed Gilman published this 13 years ago, these videos of just some of the testing that he has done and the University of Florida has done on trees. And so I found some of their old videos of some of these things, and just check that out, man. You'll love that. You might have already seen it, honestly, but all right. So we're moving on. Last year, our village streets and sanitation came down the street and started cutting a lot of branches on my trees, off of many trees. There were no arborists nearby, and I begged them not to cut our trees. Oh, I see. You gotta. That stinks. It's like you got a street tree in the buffer zone or in the parkway there. Where'd you go? They butchered most trees and did not seal or treat any of the cuts. Actually, you've got a maple there. I'm not worried about that. Don't worry about sealing your maple cuts. Not a big deal. Is that 80 mile an hour when that the tree didn't lose a single branch? I was impressed when I saw that. Yes, that's exactly what that is. So it's 90 mile an hour. 75 to 90 mile an hour is how high the wind testing went on that. There's a couple other studies out of Austria where they put the trees up to 200-mile-an-hour winds, which I friggin' love, man. I would love to be a part of that. And I just want to hear the forces at play. Honestly, I just want to hear that intensity. I'm a little bit of an adrenaline junkie, if y'all hadn't noticed. That's why I climb trees, though. It's a good outlet. Great place for, I call it guy therapy or dude therapy. Wow, that's cool. All right, so yeah, late fall. Okay, Northern Illinois. No, they didn't unalive your tree. Pruning and sealing. So the complaint is they butchered most of the trees and did not seal or treat any of the cuts. It's a maple or an ash. You don't have to seal those. I think it's a maple. You don't have to seal those, Anonymous. Not to worry. I don't think anything's wrong here. I think they did minimal damage. Watering every day is bad. The roots need to be made to put down deep tap roots looking for water. Not tap roots per se, but they definitely need deep and infrequent waterings. Very important. Yeah, less frequent and deeper waterings is better for trees. As a rule of thumb, usually what's good for grass is not what's good for trees. So what's good for grass, what Michael's in reference here to, is you typically water the grass 3 or 4 times a week so that you can get consistent irrigation. The problem with that is what that does is it A, promotes fungal pathogens in the soil, B, creates an anaerobic soil condition, and C, typically you're not watering really deep, like 30 or 45 minutes like that. What you're watering is like 5 minutes or 15 minutes. And what that does is it only irrigates that top. Hey, what's up, guys? Okay, so what you want to do is water for 20, 30, 45 minutes, an hour even. Maybe do it once or twice a week. It comes to your trees. The reason being is all of that extra water, we call it gravitational water. So once you've saturated that top level, it's going to spread horizontally. That's going to get a good solid surface area of all your roots. After that, all of that extra water is going to start pushing down into the soil profile, especially if you've got a sandier type soil. But even with a clay type soil, it's going to water deeply into the soil. What's the tree going to do? It's going to chase after that. So it's going to extensively grow and expand your rooting system. Very, very important. Woohoo! I love it, dude. Sprouting Arborist. We were talking about some pathogens or some pests on your pine tree. Again, I still owe you an email, dude. I'm so sorry. It's just been, man, I've been overwhelmed. And we got some great news today on a different project I'm working on too. So now I'm going to be even more overwhelmed. Welcome to my world. But yes, I love that you were dealing with that borer, and you're getting it treated for. So I love that. Keep me updated, bro. I really want to know. And I still owe you a response to your email. If nothing else, just to say, hey, thanks for trusting me and reaching out about this. So, hey, really appreciate you, dude. Carry on. So yeah, what Michael was saying is absolutely true here. They didn't unalive your tree, Anonymous. You're okay. You definitely want to just make sure your tree is well irrigated through the drought periods, because we all go through them. But I don't think they unalived it. Now, one thing you further is just take proactive measures. Prune it yourself. Make sure it's out of the street. Make sure you're abiding by the bylaws and the tree protection ordinances. Yeah, take care, brother. I appreciate it, Arborist. Sprouting Arborist. We'll see you, buddy. Thanks again for being a part of this group, dude. Love what you're doing. And like I said, I'm happy to help you in your career any way I can. All right. So yeah, they just linked it up for clearance. Municipal clearance codes typically are 7 feet over sideways or 8 feet over sideways, 12 to 14 feet over streets. So what you've got here is a parkway tree that is in the buffer zone between the sidewalk and the street. Yes, the city has jurisdiction over it, so you have no control over that area. Just make sure it's getting plenty of water during periods of stress and drought, and maybe a little fertilizer. That goes a long way. So hope that helps, buddy. We're moving on. Maybe. Jeanette, what's up, Jeanette? Hi, I have this big tree in my backyard. Not sure what kind of tree, but had someone come trim it before hurricane season. I'm currently struggling trying to decide if I should keep this tree or remove it. Not sure about the health of the tree, and I'm afraid that it will bring me problems in the future. The power lines run close to the tree, and I also wouldn't want the roots of the tree to cause structural damage to my home. You don't have to worry about that. Just straight up. You don't have to worry about that, Jeanette. Period. I also feel terrible about the idea of getting rid of it. Please provide me with advice. Sounds like you're facing a tough decision about your tree. It's completely understandable to feel conflicted, especially considering the potential risk and your attachment to it. Consult with a certified arborist. Yep, I agree. Hey, look at me. I'm one of those. What you got to say? Thank you. I'm trying to find someone in my area, but there only seems to be one arborist somewhat nearby. Okay, so this is why, by the way, for those of you that are hating on our business model, that are saying you can't do, we've had a bunch of those, bunch of negativity about trees and about the ability to, this is, by the way, Michael knows about this conversation, as is a conversation that we are having in the tree care industry. Is it ethically right? And is it possible? Is it feasible to do digital consulting for trees? Humble opinion, I've been doing it since 2018. It's worked. 2017, really. It's worked. And 9 times out of 10, the answer is really simple. Stop the stressors. Take care of the tree. Give the tree the resources it needs. Stop the bleeding, and you're going to have a great tree. Also, sometimes you get pests and pathogens come in. And in that case, and help guide you along how to take a soil sample, how to take a tissue sample, and how to send those off to your local ag extensions or a good, well-qualified lab, and make sure you're getting the right care that you need. So it's very possible. It looks like you're selling on something. At GKC Landscape Contractors, we often help homeowners with similar concerns. We can offer solutions tailored to your outdoor space. Whatever you decide, it's important to prioritize your safety and the well-being of your home. Here's what I have to say about that, Jeanette, though, is you do not have to worry about this tree. First of all, the canopy has been manipulated and removed over time so much that you really don't have much of a canopy at all, to be honest. In fact, I would stop pruning all those lower limbs. I'd let them grow in. I would. That's actually going to increase the strength of the tree too. But you can see here, you've got I don't even know what kind of tree that is. Mulberry maple, maybe? Could be. It's a beautiful tree, whatever it is. It almost looks like a mulberry to me, but man, you got so much trunk for such a little canopy. And it looks like the power line company guys have already come in and done their tree butchery. That's okay. It is what it is. Stinks. Sorry. But yeah, I think, David, you got the right approach, bro. I really appreciate your soft approach saying, hey, I understand you're dealing with this. It's a tough decision. I will say this, though, Jeanette. I think that you're fine. I do not think you have to worry about this tree coming crashing down on your home. Leave those branches. Leave them, because all of those are all those leaves are food factories for the tree, and you've got really a nice tree. Like, yeah, you've got a solid woody structure. What I would say is you do. It does look like maybe you've got a little bit of soil compaction, but you can fix that just by throwing some of this Microlife Humates Plus on there over time, and even just throwing some organic compost down. Over time, that's gonna just do it all in your backyard. Like, just throw a thin layer, maybe a quarter or a half an inch at most, and just throw that down once every spring. That's going to feed basically all of the soil and help to create a healthy growing environment. So no, don't worry about removing the tree. You don't have to remove that tree, Jeanette. Please don't remove that tree. That's a beautiful tree. If you do, we're going to have words, but if you don't, then well done. Yes, I think they topped it. That's exactly what I saw, Kristen. By the way, for those of you that don't know, Kristen is a wonderful resource to this group as well. She's done such a great job of adding so much valuable input. So, Lucas, if you don't mind tagging her in this, Kristen, thank you for all you do. You've been a great resource here and just a wonderful addition to this group. So, I did read into root barriers. By the way, Jeanette, your tree is far enough away from the house. You do not have to worry need it. Roots are going to grow where there's water and there's oxygen, and they're going to find those places and send more roots there and unalive the roots that are in places that don't make sense for the tree. So I hope that helps, Jeanette. Yeah, you've got a beautiful tree. I'm really trying to figure out what that is. Is it a mulberry? I don't think it's a catalpa. Could be. Beautiful tree though, whatever it is. Yeah, keep that tree. Don't get rid of it. That's silly. Silly. That's right. Grown man saying silly. That's how ridiculous it is. All right, start as this. Now the entire tree is brown and crispy. Is there a way to rescue it? I don't think so, to be honest. Let's see what the guys are saying. I don't think so. It's finished. Damage from red spider mites. That's what I was wondering. Yeah, that really looks like, oh, it's even worse now. I'm so sorry. Yeah, you've got an unalive tree there, Anonymous. That sucks. There's no getting around that. That sucks. I'm sorry. Yeah, you've got an unaliving tree. All right, sorry, but yeah, that's just that is what it is. By the way, if you've got a conifer meaning one that bears cones, evergreen, could be cedar, could be spruce, could be pine, could be whatever. Arborvitae even has some mite problems. Here's what you do. If you've got a situation like this, or like this, then realistically, there's a really, really common pest called spider mites. Spider mites love a good spruce tree, and man, they will just wreak havoc on them. So here's a quick test. Cedars especially. Quick test you can do. Take a blank sheet of paper, printer paper, copy paper, doesn't matter. Take it, hold it underneath the branch. Shake the branch over that. Just shake it real good, Then look. What you're going to look for are these little creepy crawler thingies that have 8 legs, 4 on each side, 1 on the right, 4 on the right, 4 on the left. Those are spider mites. If you see spider mites, they will essentially cause this type of damage. They've got piercing mouth parts, sucking mouth parts. So what they do, they've got these little, think of it like a drinking straw. They pierce the woody tissue or the leafy tissue, and they suck the life out of it. Very simple, very detrimental in many cases. And I think that's what we're looking at here. I don't know because I'm not doing the spider mite test, but I think something's going on there. It could be fungal. You've got a nice landscaped area there, so it's very possible that it's fungal. I think maybe a mite test would be really, really telling. So hope that helps, buddy. And we're moving on. Hi there. We're in Southern Oregon. Does anyone know what could be causing this discoloration in a black oak? Wow. That's venal necrosis, not intervenal necrosis. Venal necrosis is very bad. That can be oak wilt, actually. But it depends on where you're at. Where you at? Brianna? Don't know. I think you said in your post, right? Southern Oregon. Let's see. Let's ask the robots. Hello. All these punk kids. No, vascular wilt disease known as oak wilt caused by the fungus Cystis fagocerum has not been reported in Oregon. There you go. Mediterranean oak borer has been found in Oregon and can spread fungi that causes similar unalivedly vascular wilt in some oak species. Sudden oak death. By the way, Phytophthora. Oh man, I'm so glad I checked the robots. Phytophthora might be a real serious cause of that. By the way, Phytophthora I have actually cured. Not that particular one, but I've cured it with this stuff. And when I say cured, the disease is still there, but it is no longer showing any symptoms on the tree. So, yeah, that to me looks like venal necrosis. It could be fall. I don't think so. And yeah, you're in the right time frame. September in Oregon. That could totally be fall. But if it is, what you want to do is you want to reach out to your local ag extension and find out from them. Send them a tissue sample. See if they can diagnose it for you. Diagnosis, by the way, prescription without diagnosis is indeed malpractice. I had a guy that, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, that has caused a lot of problems in our group that was telling me like, hey, you're doing it wrong by prescribing all these things. It's like, bro, I'm not prescribing anything. I'm telling people to send samples for prescription for diagnosis rather, and that way we can prescribe it. First things first, you've got to find out what it is. So reach out to your local agriculture extension. I think it's University of Oregon up there, and send them a sample. See if they can tell you exactly what's going on with it. But then these liquid humates plus are always a good solution. Not solutions per se, but they can often just help alleviate some of the stress in the tree, specifically in the soil. That liquid AF, by the way, you want to mix it with 1 to 1 part, 1 part liquid AF to 1 part liquid molasses, preferably like a black strap or a cooking molasses. Don't use landscapers molasses or gardening molasses. It's just not going to have the same purity as your cooking molasses or your blackstrap molasses. Very important. So,
just so you know, the next one is Lannon J. Golento. We already talked about it, so you could just skip that one.
Yeah, we've already talked about that, Lennon. I don't know how to pronounce your name.
But Jeremy Johnson had a.
Yeah, those are borer exit wounds. That's pitch tubes. Looks like ambrosia beetle, actually. Could be wrong. Once again, prescription without diagnosis, malpractice. I think you got a borer problem there, Jeremy, but I don't know exactly what it is. Northern Utah. Yeah, ambrosia beetles are pretty much everywhere. Those tiny holes tell me ambrosia beetles. Shot hole borers. Didn't I do a video on this, bro?
I don't think. If you did, I don't see it on the comments. You did give them a reply with a video thing.
That's what I thought.
It wasn't a live video.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, I know I did a video on this one. Looks like shot hole borers. It could be ambrosia beetles too. It could be a host of things, really. The main thing, if the root flare is buried, I'll get bacteria pushing out of the trunk and sometimes beetle holes. The sap, if the root flares, I don't see any included bark splits in the image, but that also gets bacteria that attracts beetles. Large cut to head and rolled over might be an area they're attracted to. Oh, rolled over meaning sealed. Okay. Especially fresh cuts in the summer. Do they have buried root flares that love the smell of collar rot? Yep, I agree. What's up, Jeremy? Let's see what I said. I don't even remember. This is in my kitchen. No, that's in my bathroom. What am I doing in the bathroom? That's weird, y'all. Who does that? What's up, Lucas? I think so. Yeah, multitasking. I think you're too.
So Amy S. on September 14th.
I think I'm gonna call it after that. Yeah.
You sure, or do you want to just take care of Amy so we can have a marker for where we need to continue on later?
We'll leave Amy's for later.
Okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and call it now because we have been at this for what? Almost an hour and
20 minutes.
Hour and 20 minutes. Yeah. We've done a great job. I think we've gotten through a lot of, an hour and a half, really. Yeah, we've gotten through a lot of questions. So proud of us. Okay, we'll leave that one for next time, maybe. But guys, we are like all caught up. Check this out though. Let's do this. Fire blight.
I'm taking a screenshot.
Yeah, let's just go over kind of a quick recap too. We talked about kind of some ground rules, and I went ahead and posted the rules here. This is very, very important. This helps us be good arborists, be able to help you guys out more, and it keeps this group living in integrity and not being jerks to each other. So, rule number one: no DIY diagnosis without details. See, here's the thing. If y'all post questions, you've got to post specifics. Give me your location, tell me a history of what's going on, and post just a bunch of photos. Take more photos than you feel comfortable spamming us with. That actually helps. Because the more photos you provide, the more likely we are to get a good picture, pun intended, of what's going on and be able to give you a good, solid tree answer. The more details we have, the better arborists we can be. Number two is we got to respect the science and the arborists. There were some issues with that this past week where I got a bunch of emails, a bunch of messages saying, hey, people are being very disrespectful in here, and they're not answering things appropriately, and they're just giving their own personal humble opinions based on their non-science-based experience, and it became a really big problem. So we're seeing a bunch of junk just being thrown out there as fact, and that's just not cool, guys. We want to make this a science-based source for you guys, because quite frankly, a lot of smart guys have figured out how trees work best, how they function best, how to take care of them best. We want to go off of that. No spam promoting or self-advertising, y'all. If you're putting out there, if you're asking people for their zip codes so you can help them and see if you can help them personally, you are wrong. If you are asking them for their personal information, you are wrong. If you're posting pictures and advertisements about your company, you are wrong. We don't do that. Now, this is funded and sponsored by my company, arboristondemand.com. And yes, we do digital tree care consulting. This is very different because that's the whole point of this, is we're here to help you find the solutions to your trees. And quite frankly, sometimes that just takes a closer look. Guy Meir was saying a lot about like your on-site arborist. Well, we replace that because quite frankly, sometimes your on-site arborist is not within 100 miles of you. And so you need somebody that can look at it digitally. And quite frankly, telemedicine has been a very real thing and has helped thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people, maybe even millions of people for the last couple of decades. And it's been a very real deal because doctors, nurses, nurse practitioners can get online, ask you the right questions, and find out what's going on. And we are a professional service that does just that. So we can help you out, and we'd love to do so. But for all y'all others, this is not a place for you to pick up extra clients. This is not a, hey, I'll cut your tree for $100 kind of website. We don't do that. We give real, solid, fact-based opinions and research and science to help you best support the trees that you love and live under. So number 4, be kind or be gone. You will get pruned. Violators will be pruned. That's number 3. But same thing for number 4. This is a safe place. And again, I got multiple messages last week and early this week about people coming in here and abusing this site and making it more of like a tree guy banter kind of site. We ain't doing that. This ain't what we do here. It ain't. I'm just not that kind of arborist. I'm just not that kind of group. And so we're going to keep this a safe place for people to come and without judgment, post their questions about the trees they love. And we're not going to haze. We're not going to harass. We're not going to terrorize people with our words. Just not a thing. Again, take that crap to the compost Ben. Check yourself at the door every time you come in here and make a comment. Also, not a substitute for emergency risk assessment. Quite frankly, we can do good tree risk assessment on your trees, but sometimes it really does require somebody to be there on site and really put hands and put eyesight and check the soil and check the structural integrity of the woody tissue. And so we will give you the absolute best answer we can, but quite frankly, it's not a replacement for a full tree risk assessment at all. We're not going to bash on people because they have that less than ideal tree. Not everything is a live oak, and that's actually a good thing. So y'all stop yelling at people because they got Bradford pears. Well, you're screwed because it's a Bradford pear. I'm sorry. I got Bradford pears that have been in the air for 50 years, y'all. So is it going to last 100? No, we'll tell you. We'll be honest. But y'all stop bashing each other for having one of those silver leaf maples, which are just trash trees, or white pines, which are just big old weeds in the sky. Like, so also they contribute very greatly to our environment and to our homes. So y'all stop it. It's just annoying. And also lastly, I am just a one-man band. I got my right-hand man, Lucas, here. My beautiful bride, Miss Jennifer Latham, is also helping me out, keep things in control and all that. But we are busy. We're just now getting out of busy season, and we're out here in the field doing real work. All of us, all the guys that you see on here are real arborists doing real work for real people. And just be patient, y'all. We're getting to them. I promise you, we will get to every single one of your questions. And thank God it slowed down a little bit while people go back to school and try to get their lives in order for the holidays and all that. So just wanted to go over the ground rules with you one more time. We are serious about it. We are having some issues in this group with these things, and we will manage them appropriately. Sorry. Not sorry. We want to make this a safe place for you guys to come on here and ask your great tree questions. Again, thank y'all so much for being here. My name's Matt Latham. I'm one of those BCMAs and RCAs. There's about 120 of us out there on the planet, and we exist to help you live and love the trees that you live under, and just appreciate them more and stop having to deal with them. If you need a closer inspection of your tree, we do offer digital arborist consulting. Hit us up on the web at arboristonDemand.com, where we can get on a digital arborist consultation and help you take care of your green pets, because trees are good. Trees are awesome, and they add so much benefit and privilege to our lives. We are very blessed that God in his mighty wisdom decided to give us trees along with everything else. So thanks so much for being here. Catch us again next Tuesday from 3 to 5 or 4 to 6, somewhere in there. We'll let you know in our event here next week, but we're glad to have you as a part of this group. And again, thanks for being here. We will see you next time. Bye now.